Welcome to another episode of the C-Level Workshop. Today we talk about AI on board, and I have an expert with me, Thomas Zimmerer. Hello, Thomas.
Hello, Bernd. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thomas, let us please discuss about AI on board. Many board members have to deal with AI nowadays and maybe struggle to understand it completely, but in the end they are responsible for their decisions concerning AI. So what they implement and how and when, and how can board members ensure to make the right and correct decisions concerning AI?
So first of all, AI is not a bottom-up topic, it's a top-down topic because it's changing everything what we know. It's changing the rules and it's also disrupting all what we have learned in the last few years. Therefore, the whole company has to change in a really high speed, and their board members are the guys who give the direction, who have to be the role model and also have to be the lighthouse for them. What do they have to know? More or less, the most important thing is that they have to know what are the challenges on the one hand side, but much more they have to know what is the huge potential of AI for future business models and for efficiency of their companies. It's hard for them to deep dive in that because on the one hand side it's a technical topic, and on the other hand side it's a real mindset topic to think in exponential opportunities. It's not thinking about the next continuous improvement of 3, 4, 5%. It's really disruptive, where it's disrupting 90%, for example, on efficiency, where it's also disrupting complete departments, and where it's also disrupting complete partners in the value chain, which are not needed tomorrow anymore.
Okay, this sounds exciting on one hand. On the other hand, we also have to deal with it. So not everybody can be an AI expert in the board. So what kind of tools can they apply, or maybe what kind of advisory structure can they install to deal with these questions?
So the board members have to really open their mind, and they have to get the knowledge on AI about the potential. And the potential can be given to them, of course, by lighthouse projects on the one hand side. On the other hand side, they also need a basic knowledge, literacy on tech topics. But as the world is moving forward every day, so the world tomorrow morning is not the same we have today. Every night there are new models popping up and changing the AI capabilities and pushing the edge even further where it was yesterday. They really need guys who are really into the topics, not from a technical part, who are really into the topics from the capabilities and also from the potential part. For the boards, it's a little bit more a challenge because these guys who really help them to understand that have to understand how boards work, have to understand how companies work, also from a strategic and operational part, and they have to understand AI, the potential of AI, and also some part of the technical topics there.
Okay, so when I understand you correctly, when we talk about AI board advisory or AI board advisor, then you need both. So a senior manager who understand how to run a company and who understand also the liability to run a company, and also on the other hand, they are on topic on the latest development of the AI development, which is evolving every day as we experience now.
Yes, you have to speak the language of the boards, and a board language is a different one than an executive and a different one than a management level. They are talking about different level and they are talking about different topics, and therefore the best fit is somebody who is an experienced board member, who's an experienced operational executive out of a company, but also very deep in AI. It can't be only an evangelist or somebody who is an entrepreneur of any startup, because that will not match with big enterprises, with how they are structured how they think about that. So you have to have both capabilities, bring them together, and also talk on the same language with the experience having being a board member in the past, because I have the experience, board members listen to board members and executives listen to executives.
Yeah, I think this is very true. And we are talking about AI for running the company, but the next level would then be, as I understand, AI, to use AI for running a board. Yeah. So can this drive innovation in a board, maybe to simplify processes within the board, or a lot of the decision work is analyzed. So can it be used for analyze business situation or possible disruptions or something else? So this is also a huge potential for the board.
Yes, definitely, and it really helps the board coming out of this tasks only being a supervisor and only ticking off balance sheets. Even there, AI can help a lot, but on the other hand side, AI can definitely give them different opinions, can have different scenarios calculated in a very, very short time, and therefore it gives the board much more options. It also gives the board more options to predict or to calculate scenarios. And therefore, I would recommend also using AI in board meetings and also for board decisions. I think the very minimum one is running a transcript and also having a board AI to ask the AI for board meetings, what did we miss? What are our white spots in the discussion? What would you think we should discuss? Which point of view we should take into account? And therefore, in my opinion, you need two different AIs. You need an AI which is really crawling the outside world, what is going on in the industry, what is going on technology, which is accessing the outside data to bring an outside view in. But the basis is a huge amount of data, much more than consultants can bring in and people can bring in. And there is a second one, which is accessing the in-house data of the company, really taking into account what you have in your company. And these two different AIs should come up with different scenarios and also with different options. On top of that, what you already discussed in the board meetings. And then you can also ask for a recommendation. Of course, today it's hard to have a board seat given to an AI because we all know the legal requirements about liability. That's not solved yet, but at least you can have also AI as a trusted advisor for board meetings. And in the end, the people decide if they take it into account or they have listened to it, they know the option, and they make a decision by purpose not to take it into account.
Yeah. Well, this sounds very futuristic. I would say AI as a seat in the board, or even AI running a transcript in board meetings. I guess this could be a controversial topic in one or another companies. But I mean, these are what you show us here are huge opportunities. But when we have these opportunities and we use this tool, then we very soon talk about liabilities. So can you explain a little? I mean, I guess you can't use AI half-hearted. You have to use it correctly, and you have to make sure that you fulfill all requirements. What is your experience with that?
The limitations you get out of legislation are not that much. So even the European AI Act is giving some boundaries, and a lot of companies are not affected in most of the areas. So if you are running a critical infrastructure, it's a different story. If you are developing software yourself and selling it in the market, it's also a little bit of a different story. But if you are an industry company using AI, the limitations coming out of legal boundaries are very, very little. So I still recommend the same things that we did a few years ago with data privacy. Let's innovate first. Let's think open from the very first beginning. and then when we are coming to a solution and to something to implement, then we frame it into the legal frames. But I think it's the right way to do it in this order and not the other way around, in saying we have a lot of uncertainty, we have a lot of fear that we do something wrong, and therefore we don't even start to innovate. We have to do it the other way around. Think open, think bold, and have a bold vision. And maybe in the end, you have to cut off 2, 3, 4, 5% of the final version because of legal requirements. But then you still have 90%, 95% of innovation, and you are far ahead of the competition.
Yeah. When I listen to that, then I think it's maybe good to apply high ethical standards, yeah, because when you are not so sure about the future and how this will be judged in 1 or 2 or 3 years, then it maybe helps to apply high ethical standards from the beginning, or?
Definitely. And that is not only an AI topic, that's really a board topic, that's really a company culture topic. And then you are coming back to principles, how you want to run your company and what culture you want to have implemented in your company and in which boundaries you want to work. And there's a legal frame is only one part of the story. There is much more of principles you want to live in your company. And it's the same with AI. So you have to have the overall guiding principles of your business, and therefore AI also have to fit into it. And then it's not that complicated to also make decisions. And you can even outsource or hand over decisions to AI if you train them the principles. It's also very, very easy that AI is considering them and giving you the right recommendations.
Okay. So you suggest to use AI for big portions of the work in companies and also in boards. But then let's talk about who controls AI. I mean, who ensures that AI works in compliance with the governance, and who is in the end responsible for running that AI in companies and boards? What is your opinion about that?
As we all know, in the end, the highest level of compliance and of legal responsibility are also the board members themselves, which are the liability is also on the personal level. And therefore, or even with that, they have to be sure how AI is treated, how AI works, and how they implement the guiding principles and the rule book, how AI will be used in the company. So even for that topic, the board members have to be able to govern and to have AI under control, that it's going in the right boundaries they want to have it. So even for that, they have to have a knowledge of AI, how it works, and what is the potential, but also the risks on the other hand side. And therefore, AI has to go into this risk matrix as well, because AI, I would call it similar to people. You also have risk matrix of fraud of people. You of course also have risk matrix of fraud of AI.
Yeah, of course. AI can also be influenced. We have to be clear about that. Yeah, also from external forces. So this is very clear. But then it means the AI system has to be checked from time to time regularly, and has to be standard test routines. And I think it will be soon like this, that we have to report in the annual report about the employment of AI in the processes and how it is be checked. I expect these regulations very soon, at least in Europe, maybe not in the US or Asia.
Already today, the auditors are changing completely their business. And they are already today using AI to audit the companies. And therefore, you will have AI which audits AI. And therefore, that is really a big topic, disrupting the whole risk matrix, the whole risk controls. And it's also a big opportunity because it can handle mass data. It can handle a lot more detailed patterns than you have it with human fraud detection. And if you want to do that in a big scale, for example, in banks, in credit card companies, they all do it with AI already today because they can't handle the big amount of data. So it's a next level. I think it's really bringing us to a much, much better control than we had before. And it's a big opportunity for everybody.
Yeah, I think data, using the data or amount of data is a good hint because I would foresee that data is the new capital in the future. We had customer relationship systems in the past where we generated all of kind of information about customers and markets and patterns and so. But this is goes much beyond with AI now. You can, let's say, collect any kind of data, also communications with customer, market information, and you can combine it. And you also need, on the other hand, to secure it in internal systems. But the amount of data is really huge, and I think it's strategic capital, or will be, which can maybe in the future also be reported as an asset or not. We will see. But how do you see this data as strategic capital?
It was already in the last few years where we started with machine learning, the first level or one of the latest levels of AI, and data was the new oil. But since we have Gen AI since 2 years really as a scalable model, data is a completely different story. You also have now a lot of data which is generated by AI, not generated by people anymore, and therefore the amount of data is exploding. But on the other hand side, you can also generate, but also validate and enhance data with AI, and therefore it's still necessary that the basic data is right. So the basic foundation operational processes have to run in a smooth way, because it's still the old story: shit in is shit out. If you are training an AI model with wrong data, you get wrong results out of that, and therefore data is still the new oil and the new asset. But it's getting now much easier to see patterns, or not to see misleading data, wrong data, or data gaps. And AI can fill already some data gaps today. So it's generating data which is necessary for the next steps.
Yeah, interesting. So this also, all that means that we can, let's say, use AI as a tool to change paradigm. I mean, you can big company vessels, you can make them flexible and fast if you enforce decision making and data gathering, and if you combine it in the right way, it makes big organizations and companies fast and market driven.
Yeah, and that's exactly this mindset we have to also bring to the boards, that the boards understand it's not only an incremental step, it's really changing a lot of the rule books and learning a lot of the rule books we have learned. And this is, of course, a huge potential also for competitors from other markets, from other industries coming in to your home turf and disrupting the whole industry. And therefore, the boards need really sparring partners, need really board advisors who help them to understand that and to guide the decision in the right direction, or to guide the discussion in the right direction, to think about that and make the right bold decisions for the future, to make the companies future ready.
Yeah, thank you for that point. And please let us go back to the AI advisors, because according to what you tell us today, they are really the supermans and superwomans who are able to be able to manage everything. But let's dive a little bit deeper into that point. So, I mean, we talked about advisory for the board. We talked about advisory for the sales process. We talked about advisory for the whole processes in the company. So what is kind of advisory structure do you see in the future?
So I think you need it on the different levels. In the past, we worked a lot of AI on the operational level. So I think a lot of companies already have predictive maintenance in their new machines, have quality inspection with cameras, with machine learning behind that. And in the past, it was a lot of bottom up, and we had a lot of pain points which we solved with technology, and that one of the technologies was AI. And therefore, we still need the guys who do operational AI, which will also be more and more commoditized as it's coming out of standard software. But we also need for the executives and especially for the boards who gives the long-term vision and the long-term strategy to the whole companies, they really need a guy either in the board itself or at least as an advisor who helps them to really have this bold vision and really helps them to create this extreme visions where you go, of course, you not always go to the extremes, but at the beginning you have to know the boundaries. What would be a maximum you could achieve today? Of course, it could be tomorrow a little bit more, but what would be a possible maximum? Let's call about dark production. Let's say we can run a production completely without people. You need to know this option. In the end, often you decide on 80-20 because the last 20% are too expensive today to automate. But then you decide by purpose that you reduce it to 80%. But you only get to the 80%, you have the bold goal to go to 100. If you already start with 80% as a goal, you end up with 60. And therefore, you need the guys who can really talk to you and say, that would be a maximum. And also, you trust them that it's achievable. It's not something out of somewhere and say, yes, in 50 years, we can go there. That you say, no, it's achievable today. But in the end, we have to decide how far we want to jump. What are the next steps to do that? You cannot do everything overnight. And sometimes it's a roadmap to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, this is exciting, and I'm really looking forward to see that. I thank you for all your answers, and I have one last question for the end, because we talked a lot about gaining speed, reducing complexity, being flexible, innovative, and we learned on one hand that the board members, they are humans as well. They have their problems with accepting and understanding this. But in the big picture, you are a technician and board member and experienced manager. What do you see? I mean, how do you see the challenges of convincing the people to take the people with you in the company?
I think the board has to be the role model and the lighthouse. We talked about, are they using AIs themselves? If they have this AI first mindset from the board, if they are not talking about it, only they are really living it. And that is why I say you have to use AI in the boards, you have to use it yourself. And that's much, much more than having a question in ChatGPT and getting an answer like you did in Google before. It's really using it in your day-to-day life and also for really important decisions as a preparation. And then you get it down to the next level and you get it down to a first AI first mindset in the whole company. But you really have to give them the vision and you have to say where the company should be in a few years. And the other thing is, it's a really game changer about speed, what we see at the moment. We had a VUCA world before, we have a VUCA world today, but today's VUCA world has a big difference. It's not moving as slow as it was 5 or 10 years ago. It's an exponential speed we have seen, and therefore also boards have to change completely how they work together. It's not enough to meet every 3 months for a day, because in the 3 months the world has moved on heavily. And that is a different work of boards. And also the boards have to be closer to the business and also have to be involved much more than they have been in the past to bring this mindset shift and to bring this drive into the companies.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Thank you for this picture, for the becoming flexible and fast developments and the complexity of convincing people. So AI, we talked about AI on board, and my picture from this discussion, which I will take with me, is the board has to be a lighthouse in this development. Thank you for that picture, Thomas.
Definitely.